Have you ever wondered why Australians stay unbelievably calm in situations that would make most Americans panic? Imagine moving to a country where people think nothing of driving for hours just to visit a friend, where dangerous-looking wildlife rarely causes anyone to cancel their plans, and where complete strangers somehow trust each other more than you'd expect. To many Americans, it feels impossible. But to Australians, it's just another ordinary day. Today, we're counting down 7 everyday things Australians never seem to worry about, and the reasons behind them might completely change the way you see Australia. Make sure you stay until number 1, because it's something millions of visitors notice within days of arriving. Yet Australians barely think about it anymore. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. Are you in Australia, the United States, or somewhere else in the world? Drop your country in the comments because it's always fascinating to see where everyone is joining from. Let's begin. Number 7, distance never seems to scare them. For many Americans, a 3-hour drive can feel like a serious road trip. People prepare snacks, check traffic, fill up the tank, and sometimes even book a hotel if the journey is long enough. Australians often see it differently. Someone might casually say, "It's only 4 hours away," as if they're talking about driving across town. Weekend trips covering hundreds of kilometers are completely normal. Friends think nothing of jumping into the car before sunrise and returning home the same evening. To visitors, this can seem unbelievable. The reason isn't that Australians love driving more than everyone else. It's because Australia is enormous. Cities are spread far apart, and long distances have been part of everyday life for generations. Children grow up taking long family drives. Workers regularly travel between towns. Holidays often involve hours on the road before reaching the destination. Over time, something that seems exhausting to outsiders simply becomes routine. An American arriving in Australia might look at the map and wonder why nobody seems concerned about spending half the day driving. Australians usually shrug. It's not that far. That difference in perspective surprises many first-time visitors. But that's only the beginning, because the next thing Australians rarely worry about might seem even stranger. Number 6, talking to complete strangers. Walk into a local cafe, a beach, a park, or even stand in line at the supermarket, and there's a good chance someone will start a casual conversation. No special reason, no introduction, just friendly small talk. For some Americans, especially those from larger cities, that can feel unexpected. Australians often have a relaxed communication style. Conversations happen naturally without feeling forced. Someone might comment on the weather, ask how your day is going, or make a joke while waiting in line. Nobody thinks twice about it. That doesn't mean every Australian is outgoing. It simply means friendliness is often treated as normal instead of unusual. Visitors sometimes expect people to keep to themselves. Instead, they discover neighbors introducing themselves, strangers offering directions, and people chatting as though they've known each other for years. It's one of those cultural differences that quietly makes life feel less stressful. When everyday interactions feel relaxed, people often worry less about meeting new people. Have you ever visited a country where strangers were surprisingly friendly? Tell us in the comments because we'd love to hear your experience. Now here's where things become even more surprising, because the next habit makes many Americans ask the same question. How are they so calm? Number 5. Outdoor life doesn't stop so easily. Australia is famous around the world for its beaches, national parks, hiking trails, camping spots, and outdoor lifestyle. Visitors often expect Australians to avoid these places because of stories they've heard online. Instead, they discover the opposite. Families head to the beach. Friends organize barbecues. People go hiking before work. Children play outside. Life continues. That doesn't mean Australians ignore safety. They absolutely don't. People swim between the safety flags at beaches. They listen to weather warnings. They wear sunscreen because the Australian sun is incredibly strong. They follow local advice in national parks. In other words, Australians don't spend their lives worrying. They prepare instead. That's an important difference. Many fears disappear when people understand the environment around them. Someone growing up near the ocean learns how to stay safe. Someone who regularly hikes learns what to do before leaving home. Knowledge replaces unnecessary fear. It's a mindset that many visitors don't expect. Instead of constantly thinking about everything that could go wrong, Australians often focus on simple preparation and then enjoy the moment. Perhaps that's one reason life feels so relaxed. But don't go anywhere, because we've only reached the halfway point, and the next 4 reasons become even more surprising. One of them explains why many Americans say Australians seem calmer than almost anyone else they've ever met. If you've made it this far, you've already seen that Australians don't avoid challenges, they simply approach them differently. But the next 4 reasons have much less to do with distance or outdoor life, and much more to do with the way Australians think every single day. One of the final reasons is something visitors notice almost immediately after arriving, and once you see it, it's impossible to ignore. Let's continue. Number 4. They rarely panic about the weather. For many Americans, severe weather often means changing plans, stocking supplies, or staying indoors. In Australia, the weather can also be unpredictable. But Australians have learned to adapt instead of constantly worrying. A hot summer day doesn't stop families from heading to the beach. A sudden rain shower usually isn't enough to cancel a barbecue. Even when temperatures climb, people simply adjust their routine by staying hydrated, wearing hats, applying sunscreen, and planning outdoor activities earlier or later in the day. Instead of allowing the weather to control every decision, Australians work around it. Visitors are often surprised by how calmly people react. It's not that they underestimate nature. They respect it, prepare for it, and then continue living their lives. That practical mindset removes unnecessary stress and helps explain why Australians often appear so relaxed. But if you think that's impressive, the next reason surprises almost every American who experiences it for the first time. Number 3. They trust their communities. One of the first things many visitors notice is how much Australians rely on simple everyday trust. Neighbors often greet each other. Parents know the families living nearby. Local shop owners recognize regular customers. People naturally hold doors open, offer directions when someone looks lost, and help strangers without expecting anything in return. Of course, Australia isn't perfect, and people still lock their homes and cars when necessary, just like anywhere else. But many communities have developed a culture where everyday kindness feels completely normal. Americans visiting Australia often comment on how relaxed these interactions feel. That sense of community quietly removes many small worries that people experience in busy modern life. When people believe others are generally willing to help, everyday situations become far less stressful. Have you ever experienced that kind of community where people simply looked out for each other? Let us know in the comments, because every country has its own unique culture. Now let's move to one of the biggest reasons Australians seem so calm. Number 2, they don't feel the need to rush everything. In many parts of the world, life feels like a race. People hurry through breakfast, rush to work, check their phones every few minutes, and constantly feel like they're running behind schedule. Visitors often notice a different pace in many parts of Australia. Friends take time to enjoy a coffee together. Families spend weekends outdoors instead of staying inside. People stop to watch the sunset at the beach or enjoy a walk without feeling guilty about slowing down. That doesn't mean Australians aren't hardworking. They absolutely are. But many place a strong value on work-life balance. Success isn't measured only by working longer hours. Spending time with family, enjoying nature, relaxing with friends, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle are often seen as equally important. Americans who move to Australia frequently say this slower pace changes the way they think about life. They discover that slowing down doesn't always mean getting less done. Sometimes it simply means enjoying life more. And now we've reached the number 1 reason. It's something visitors notice almost immediately, yet Australians hardly think about it anymore. Number 1. They focus on solutions instead of worrying about problems. This may be the biggest cultural difference of all. Australians certainly face challenges like every other country. Rising costs, long distances, changing weather, and everyday problems affect everyone. But many Australians have developed a practical attitude. Instead of spending hours worrying about what might happen, they often ask a simple question: what's the best way to deal with it? If something breaks, they fix it. If plans change, they adapt. If the weather changes, they prepare. If a challenge appears, they solve it one step at a time. That mindset doesn't eliminate stress completely, but it prevents small problems from becoming overwhelming.